Alright.
Alright, you Chris Hemsworth loving bastards, here is Thor build. This is one of those builds that I don't like to do, since we are splitting damage between physical and magical, so you can never max out one of these. Still, when combined properly and done properly, then it can be really powerful in mixed damage party builds and in lone wolf build. So this is only where this build can work, but if you want you can switch main weapon with staff, that way you can be really powerful in full magical damage party. But then the problem is that if you want to be Thor, or at least something like Thor, staff is not an option, right? Well, then again, I don't remember Thor being a dwarf as well, but here we are. As I've said, we are splitting the damage between physical and magical, and this is what I've come up with. Let's cover the gear first. Obviously you want to have two-handed mace with one slot open, and then you can add giant thunder rune. That will give you plus 15% air damage. So you're doing now air damage and physical damage. The thing is, you can buff both of these stats with warfare and aeroturge. The more aeroturge you have, bigger your air damage from weapon will be. For the rest of the gear I went with strength based gear, and now the thing is this. You're gonna have to really pay attention to the bonus attributes and stats from the gear. If you have gear that is a couple of levels lower than your level, but it gives you the stats that you want, I would suggest that you stick with that gear, in spite of being lower level. Or just use cheat commander. Combat abilities and attributes that you need to aim for are these. Wits, because we won't have many points into wits. Warfare, aeroturge, and two-handed. Plus crit chance as well on everything that you can get. Wits should be your maximum priority here. On your chest armor, place mystical giant thunder rune. That will give you more air resistance, and that will give you also +1 to scoundrel. To get that you just need to combine any thunder rune with mystical rune frame. 1 point into scoundrel gives you +5% critical multiplier, so that works very well with this. And you're going to need some air resistance to nullify some of the damage that you're dealing to other bastards. It's helpful, trust me on that. Armor of the Eternals helps a lot because you are immune to shocked, stunned, and you also inflict stun on contact. So it's perfect for this build. And these are the rest of the things that I have. More critical chance, really more, if I can, more two-handed. Wits is the most important attribute here. As you can see, Wits is almost on every piece of gear that I have. And get yourself giant flame rune of power. If you combine giant flame rune with rune frame of power, then you'll get +3 to intelligence. That's gonna help you directly increase your magical damage output. Now that we covered the gear, let's cover the attributes. So what I did here is obvious, really. I've distributed most of my points between strength and intelligence, and also some points I put into wits, mainly so that I can get more from wits when I use lone wolf. But you can see that I only put 4 points into wits, the rest is all from the gear. You're gonna need a couple of points into memory as well. 14 in memory should be enough for all the skills that you need, and really that's it. Another option is to fully neglect intelligence and go full strength with rest of the points into wits, or just distribute points equally between strength and wits. That way you're still gonna do plenty of damage with your magical attacks, because we'll have a lot of points into aeroturge and two-handed as well, which will directly increase critical multiplier. So now that we're here, let's cover combat abilities. Warfare, get as high as possible, aeroturge as well. I would actually prioritize aeroturge over warfare, because aeroturge will buff all of your air damage. That means from the rune as well. And you also need two-handed. That's it really. All of the other points are from my gear. So you can see that I got from gear +5 to scoundrel. So that's plus 25% more critical multiplier. That's huge. I had some luck with gear rolls. It's gonna need some finicking to get all of the things right. But you can affect a lot of that by simply applying correct runes and correct gear. Two-handed is important as well because it directly affects critical multiplier for your spells and your normal attacks. How you want to distribute between these three, it's up to you. I would preferably max out Heritage and then put same amount of points into Warfare and two-handed. And then if you're Lone Wolf, go for 1 point into Hydrosophy so that you can get Armor of Frost and Restoration. Also get 1 more point into Geomancy to get Fortify from gear or by directly applying that point. That's only if you're a Lone Wolf. If you're not a Lone Wolf, if you're playing this in a party, then you're probably gonna have someone that is doing those things for you. From talents, Executioner, Hothead, Opportunist, Savage, Sortilege are pretty much a must. Elemental Affinity is especially useful if you have that 1 point into Hydrosophist or if someone in your party's got Rain spell, then you cast down Rain. And you can see now Electric Discharge costs 2 action points to use. Now we electrify the Rain. And now Electric Discharge costs only 1 action point. So it's really useful. There are a lot of good options here that you can use, so go crazy. Combine, Living Armor is also good. Stench might be great as well if you have trouble with enemies around you, but then again you want enemies to be around you because that's where you're gonna do your greatest work. So how to build all of this at the beginning of the game. This is essentially Battlemage preset and what you should focus on during 4th John Hollow Marshes. It's a fuckery because you cannot maximize your damage output throughout the region, but if you're in a mixed damage party you won't have any issues with your damage output. You'll simply be useful to everyone. If you're a Lone Wolf, well, you're a Lone Wolf. After a couple of levels, you'll be wrecking everyone. Simply divide all your points that you get through 4th John Hollow Marshes to Strength and Intelligence. That's the best thing I can give you, really. I don't know what to add more than that to attributes later on. Later on, do the same thing and get wits from gear as much as you can. If you're doing a Lone Wolf, then put some points into wits as well, because these points will be then doubled if you're a Lone Wolf. From combat abilities, during the first region I would focus on Warfare and Heritage. Split points between these two and that's it. Two-handed only level up later when your crit chance and wits are starting to rise with your gear. So first 8 levels or so, I'd have 4 points into Warfare, 4 points into Heritage. That's it. If you're a Lone Wolf and you're playing solo, then add 1 more point into Hydrosophist and 1 more point into Geomancy. Or you can go completely another route and put a couple of points into Necromancy, so that you can heal from all the damage that you're doing. As for talents, from the start of the game, Executioner or Opportunist as your first talent, and afterwards get all skilled up and bigger and better. That will give you that nice boost to your attributes and to combat abilities. It's gonna help you a lot in leveling. Spells and skills are your choice really, just add Thick of the Fight and Close Circuit. That's about it. Yeah, you can use Thunderstorm, but I don't want to use that skill since it will be too easy to clear everyone. I tend to stay clear of those ultimate abilities and I use only abilities that are less powerful than those. If you're not at a point where you can use Closed Circuit when you don't have still 2 source points, then you can use Chain Lightning. It's great as well. Remember, Thick of the Fight boosts every damage that you're doing. So that means air damage too. Okay, now let's get to testing. Typical testing spot, Paladin Bridge. Let's start by throwing down Rain and fortifying my small Rs or big Rs for a dwarf. Depends how you look at it. Waiting for this guy to come around. There we go. Now we can start immediately with Thick of the Fight. That will increase all the damage that I'm doing. Closed circuit will also grant me air immunity. So now these two bastards are shocked. I'm not really having any luck with crits, but that's alright. Now we can use whatever we want, really. There are a lot of options. We can blind everyone around us. A lot of your focus depends on the enemy. For example, mage enemies will always have low physical armor, so you can focus them with your warfare skills, while warfare-based characters will have more physical armor. So go crazy. Choose what you want. Here we go. Now I defeated that guy with physical damage. That's the only thing that is good about mixing your damage with physical and magical. You can choose your enemy. You can choose the best way how to approach this. These two bastards, alright, they are close to me, so I will now use Blinding Radiance. There you go, managed to kill one. The other one is blinded, almost dead. While I still have air immunity and tick of the fight, I'm gonna use that to my advantage and gonna jump in between these three bastards over there. And I'm gonna use Superconductor. Superconductor can destroy you and your party, so you need to be extremely careful with this. Although this is completely mixed enemy party over here, these three bastards. One is intelligence, one is strength, one is finesse. So let's just do the Superconductor. I won't take any damage and it's buffed by tick of the fight. There we go. We did a lot of bloody damage. Also we get 2 action points back from Executioner perk. I'm gonna use this. There we go. You can see now the damage. We did physical damage around this and air damage around this. That air damage is from that rune. If you have a weapon that's got on itself bonus air damage, then it's gonna get more buffed with that rune that you equipped. One thing that I forgot to use was Peace of Mind. No! Fucked it up. Well, now I have to use it pretty much. Now she's not gonna survive. There we go. These guys got a lot less magical than physical armor, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna destroy his bloody magical armor. Look in the damage with the spell. Even with this setup, alright, this is Lone Wolf obviously, but still, we can do really nasty damage. I'm about to lose tick of the fight, so it's time for me to become more aggressive, which you guys won't mind, I'm sure. You bloodthirsty bastards. And now that last bastard that always got a lot of magical and physical armor is always pain in the ass to deal with. As I completely miss him with a spell. Let's go crazy with Superconductor. Well, we did almost nothing. So he's now shocked and I'll just summon Rain. And now he's stunned. And he's stunned again. As you can already see, air damage is really good for stunning targets. We finally did a critical hit with the spell. Usually when you do critical hits, you'll be satisfied with the damage, but without them, it can be underwhelming. There we go. Well, that's my Thor build, people, or Battlemage, however you want to call it. It's not as good as if you would have stuff and put all the points into intelligence. That's obvious, but it's more of a novelty build. I hope you guys like the gimmicks of it. Thank you all for watching. Special thanks to my patrons. Don't forget to check out the description and see you all soon.
Toodaloo, motherfucker.